Hello and welcome to another edition of Straight from the Training Ground, people, the podcast where we show our love for the beautiful game and the people out in their communities doing beautiful things. We are very honored and delighted to have with us today Fernando Calderon Tena. I hope I said that correctly. He is a UEFA A licensed coach from Spain who has now made his way to Texas. He's coaching youth soccer, which is something very interesting we'd love to talk to him about here in Houston, Texas, with HTX, a very large club with over 8,000 players in their program. Fernando, thanks so much, man, for joining us today.
No, thank you very much to you. I think it's a pleasure to be here and I could have the invitation from you. So really thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you. So just to tell everybody, before we get started, we kind of connected at the United Soccer Coaches Convention through the chat and the app. And you reached out to me, and I really appreciate it. So again, just real quick, that was your first convention you've been to, yes?
Yes, my first convention. I've been here in the US for, let me say, 1 year and a half. So
Okay.
I had the opportunity to go with other coaches in my club. So it was a really good experience, to be honest. It's, I think, the large convention in US, but I think in the world could be.
Yeah.
It was crazy, a lot of people, a lot of networking. So to be honest, really, really good experience.
So you had a good time? You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I enjoy a lot with a
Yeah,
lot of people. Yeah, that's it. Pretty good.
So, first of all, before we get into how in the world did you get to Texas, let's talk first about real quick. You're originally from Spain. What is your just background in football? How did you grow up around it? All those kind of things.
So in Spain, it's soccer or football. Let me say soccer because we are here in US. It's part of the culture. So you're starting to play soccer with your friend when you are 4 or 5 years old in the street. We say in Spain, fútbol de calle, so play in the street. So it's something that I love from my childhood. So I started play with my friends. I started to play in the team of my older brother, that is 3 years older than me. So I was maybe 5 years old and I started play as a guest player in trainings with them.
Yeah.
So it was a really good way to start. Then I moved to Don Benito because my parents working there. So I moved to Don Benito. It's like 1 hour far from my home, from my village, that is Monterrey Serena. And yeah, I started playing there in the town, in the academy, one of the academy. Yeah, it was a really good experience. I met a lot of people playing a good division there. Yes, then I quit because I knew that I don't have the ability, the capacity to be a professional player when I was 16, 17 years old. Uh, in that moment, I started to think about to do maybe military, work in the military, but finally I moved to Granada and I studied a sport degree or sports science. So yeah, in that moment I continued watching football or soccer. My friend could say that I was crazy because I went to maybe 4th division game, 5th division games. So I love this sport. And in that moment, 18 years old, I started to get the different license, UEFA B, UEFA A, all these things. Uh, and yeah, that's the way they starting. I was really lucky because I met one coach that I was working in the U23 Granada female side,
Mm-hmm.
like the professional academy there. So I was like intern assistant coach there 1 year. Uh, it was during the COVID period, so it wasn't good enough for that reason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my starting point, and then I moved. We can talk later about I moved to a boys academy, one of the best academy in Granada with football club, and I've been there with U16, U18 teams, national league as assistant coach with my friend now Vicente, that was the coach, and yeah, that is the way they starting, and then I moved here.
So what would you say? Do you remember a certain moment or a certain situation that you feel kind of got you hooked into coaching? What really got you into it?
To be honest, I think it's a mix of a lot of things. So for me, for example, my mission is soccer because I think to work in soccer, you need something more than love the sport.
Yeah.
I think you need to know and you need to understand how the people working. So for me, my mission is to learn from the people and also give my experience to a lot of people. So I think when I was a kid, I was a really shy person. I was really shy. So for some time it was difficult for me to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
So have the opportunity to connect now as a coach with different people to learn about them, also give the best of me to other people, is something that is more than soccer in that case. Is so to be honest, I don't really know what was the, I don't know how to say English,
Yeah.
but the
What got you in? Hook.
yeah, the hook.
Click. Yeah.
All this type of thing that from your childhood give you the hook to start in soccer as a coach.
Well, yeah, and I think I'm sure like most people I know myself and people who have coached, it you feel like it's your opportunity to give back to football, yes.
Yeah,
To reach out to the younger people and show them anything or help them, and it's kind of makes you feel like you're giving back a little bit to something you love that you're so passionate about. Obviously, my next question I have to ask. So, someone like you has worked in academies. You grew up in Spain. How do you end up in Texas?
to be honest, I don't know. Uh, no, I will go back a bit. So I was working in Spain in an academy with football club, and it was associated to a gym. So to a gym, to a fitness place. So I was going to the gym sometimes, and I met one other person that I was going there. So we started talking as friends. One day he said to me that he has a nephew
Yeah.
in US working as a coach in a college. I
Okay.
think in Michigan or over there.
Yeah.
So in 2023 January, I talked with him only with the idea to know more about the environment in US, not to get a job, not to all these things, so only to learn about the experience to be in US. He told me about that, and he said also that if I was interested, he could put me in contact with the agency that he's starting with. So it's an agency that work with European coaches to move abroad to US.
Yeah.
So yeah, he put me in contact with this agency like 4 or 5 months later. Uh, I talked with them. Well, the person Matt is from Liverpool, so for me at the beginning my English wasn't good, not good now, but it wasn't good in the moment. Thank you. Uh, he told me that I can go here with a short visa, 3 4 months,
Okay.
and he gave me the opportunity to go to California. So I've been 3 4 months in San Jose in California with other club. And then I go back to Spain. They said that I could go here again to US with a more long visa, 1 year and a half.
Okay.
So yeah, I have different options. I could go to maybe Boston. I was close to go to Boston, and then suddenly this opportunity here in Houston appeared. I think I was thinking that was a good opportunity to improve my English, to improve in this culture, to improve even my methodology in soccer. So I said, let's go there. Let's go there. And yes, I finished here.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome. Very adventurous of you. That's fantastic. So we've talked a little bit before we came on the air about your coaching, and you said already you coached. Your background has been more with like the U16, U17 academy level, and you're coaching younger kids right now. Is that correct? Like
Yeah.
10, 12-year-old. A little bit of a difference there, obviously. What do you like? What has been challenging moving to the lower age groups? And what are some of the differences as a coach from what you're used to?
For me, when I came here, it wasn't hard because I know that my focus now is improve about the culture, about the English. But what you said, I started with U16, U18 in Spain. So when I moved here and I've been with U10, U12, or maybe U8 years old,
Yeah.
is a bit different. So first of all, you have to change your way to address your training, because with other groups, maybe you could be harder. You could be
Mm.
harder. You could be more serious. You could be with more discipline. But with little ones, you have to be harder sometimes. Not harder, really hard. because they don't have to cry, but you have to be serious. But also, you need to understand that they are kids. And here, I think in America, even in Spain, it's a problem sometimes with the parents, because the parents think that their kids are older, and they are not older. They are 10 years old, they are 8 years old, they are 20, 12 years old, and they are not 18 years old. So I think the most important thing in soccer or in everything is that the parents and the coaches too understand that they are working with kids and not with other groups. So that was the first difference. Second difference, the methodology is so different. It's not the same to work U16, U18 with maybe 20 players that working here U20, U12 with maybe 10, 12, 13 players.
Yeah.
It's different in the ages, it's different in the amount of people, amount of player. So yes, also if I have to talk about more difference, in Spain, I was starting coaching only one team, maybe assistant coach in other team. And here, when you came to be full time, you have to work with maybe 4 or helping in 5 systems. So it was for me the big challenge here in soccer, because you finish one session, 90 minutes, one session with U10, and then suddenly you have to start with the U12 again.
Yeah.
So it's like a chain of mindset all the time, different problems, different ages. So that was for me the big challenge in soccer.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. It's difficult coaching many teams, at the same time. So what, I know you haven't been here for a very long time, but growing up in Spain and being around soccer in Europe, what are some of the big differences you see with kids and just soccer in general here compared to what you grew up with?
For me, the first one is the culture.
Yeah.
So in Spain, 80% of the kids, or maybe more, play soccer.
Yeah.
Here, you have football, American football, you have baseball, you have basketball, and then maybe you have soccer. Hopefully, and I think that is growing here. At least in Texas, there are a lot of Mexican people, a lot of South American people that are bringing that culture. It's Messi. In the future, is the World Cup. So I think it's changing. But for me, the culture is something that is in Spain, the culture of soccer, and here is starting, but it's difficult. And I don't know if it will change in the future, because American football will be always will be there.
Well, and there's not just American football, but there's so many different sports, correct? There's so many different options for kids. Obviously, the culture and stuff in soccer, as someone who grew up here myself, it has changed and improved quite a lot over the last, 10 to 20 years, but obviously it's nothing like what it is in Spain or in Europe still. What if I could give you the key, right? The golden key to youth soccer in the United States, just for being around as much as you have, but you've seen enough. You work with a big club. What are a couple of the things that you would like to change, if you could, with youth soccer in the United States?
Well, I think it's impossible to change, but I think in America is everything soccer focusing in business. So that's good, because the money is important, and for the club, for everybody, the money is important. So you need that thing. But I think the business have to be also,
Do you mean in terms of the kids that they have to pay to play?
they have to pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
So about that, but I think they could change in the way that it's business, but how can I help the kids to be in a competitive environment? It's business, but you have in Spain, let we say Real Madrid.
Yeah.
In the kind of Real Madrid, you will have players in your same team. You are part of the team. Okay, I have to compete, because if not, next year I will be out.
Yeah.
So I think US, I think it's really big, and that is more difficult, But if you have good players in good teams and have that competitive environment, I think it's the key. To grow, competitive is important. You have to have fun. You are a kid, you have to have fun. That's what I say to my kid, you have to have fun. But not forget that here sport is to compete.
Yeah.
And to grow with the competition. Because what happened? They're starting to be older. Now we have social media, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, so everything is going fast. And the kids are starting to not tolerate the frustration.
I
And that's a
agree.
problem. Even in Spain, when I was coaching U16, U18, it was difficult today to understand that soccer, like life, is a process.
Yes.
So in US, we're starting to think in that way that this process that try to bring competitive teams together, competitive player, I think everything will go better.
Yeah, those are some great points. I agree. It's great to hear someone like you from your perspective who recognizes that as well. Obviously, the pay to play model here in the United States, as I'm sure you already know, is a big issue that a lot of people talk about all the time. Um, as a coach, yourself, what would you like to accomplish here in the near future? You're now with a big club. I'm going to pull up the website here for HTX just to talk about that a little bit here in a minute. But what would you like to accomplish now? You're working with multiple teams, U10 to U12 age range. But what for yourself? You've got your UEFA A license, which is a great accomplishment. What would you like to accomplish
In I
as a
have to
coach?
divide. I have to divide in three things because for me, my dream is to work as a professional coach with other boys, adults.
Hmm.
I would like in Spain or in Europe. Also, it's a dream to work in the MLS. That is a dream, but it's long term. All the thing is long term. So I like to divide with dreams, mission, that the one that I said, that is continue growing as a person and give the best of me to the person around me, and my objectives. That is short term, that is improving my English, working with parents and kids and the communication with them, and learning about this culture now. But my dream, you asked me for the dream, short term is continue being more professional teams, professional clubs, maybe 5, 10 years. In long term, being professional coach in Spain. But I know that's so difficult and the dreams could change.
Yeah, but you never know. You never know. Look what you're doing already. You probably never thought you'd end up in Houston coaching
That's true.
kids either.
That's true.
And I want to tell you, I need much more help with my Spanish than you do with your English. I can just tell you
No,
that.
thank you. Thank you very much.
So growing up real quick, in that culture you did in Spain, here on Straight from the Training Ground, we're big on culture and we're trying to reshape and help the culture of soccer in the United States, especially with street soccer, with pickup soccer. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. When you grew up, my first question real quick is just what team did you support? And then, but second of all, can you explain to people what do you feel you gained? What is that culture like where you said, when you're a little kid, it's just, you just come home and you're out in the street playing all the time.
Yeah, so my parents are Real Madrid fan. So I have to be a Real Madrid fan from the
Yeah.
childhood. So for me now, Real Madrid and Granada, because I was working there. I watched with my friend a lot of games in the first division, second division for
Hmm.
3, 4 years. So Real Madrid and Granada.
Okay. So the street culture then growing up, and I apologize, I forget, is it calle?
Fútbol de calle.
Football de calle, football in the street.
Fútbol de calle. Yeah, we
See,
see.
yeah, I'm learning. I'm working on it. I'm
That's
working on
good.
it. But explain to people, what is that like? And as a coach now that you're a little bit older and you're coaching kids and you've come over here to the United States, what benefit do you feel like gives you and all your friends growing up as opposed to being in an organized system, where you're just on a club team? Because what I see, I've coached club in high school here for over 20 years. And what I see is the last, I don't know how many years, but kids and their families, they come to training with us and then they go home. right? And it's organized, but that's it. And I think there's a huge value. I'm interested in your approach and your opinion. There's a huge value of just being a kid and growing up away from all that stuff and just making mistakes, trying things in street soccer, pickup soccer, and growing up in that culture. So what do you think about that?
I talk a lot with the parents of my teams about this. Here, the American people like what you say, go to training and one-on-one sessions and go back to the house.
Yeah.
In Spain, we have training, but we don't have maybe just some of them one-on-one session. We have 3v3, 4v4 sessions in the street.
Yeah.
So you don't have coaches, you standing play with the friends, have fans, you put 2 stones as a goal,
Yeah.
and you spend there 2-3 hours or more if you want, and you don't have to do homework.
Yeah.
So in Spain, we can go walk to training most of the time. We don't have the car, so you don't depend on your parents to drive you to the fields.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I was a kid, I remember finish the school, go to home to have lunch, and maybe 1 hour later, I started to play with my friends. Not only soccer, because when you're a kid, I think soccer is really important, but you have to do different sport. But
Yeah.
you continue playing soccer because it's culture. So most of the time you will play soccer. And then you are older and you continue to have fun and you don't have a coach. So here, even in the trainings, as a coach, you need to give them this freedom. I know the parents in America like that you are really intense, all these things, because they say, this working really hard.
Yeah.
But sometimes what they think, you only have to observe, stay like this, and let them play.
Mm-hmm.
I love when I don't have to say nothing to my kid and they are competing.
Yes. Yeah.
They are not foul. They say it's foul or not sometimes.
Yeah. Let them sort it out.
Yeah. And I think that's is the big change. Hopefully here in America, even in Spain, it's going worse, I think. But hopefully in America it's changing this because it's the best way to learn, to improve as a player and as a person.
Couldn't agree more with you. So again, Fernando, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Straight from the Training Ground. Again, he's coaching right now in Houston with HTX, so check them out if you're anywhere in that area. And Fernando, best of luck with all your future goals, like you said. Hopefully, we can't wait to see you someday coaching in Europe somewhere. Maybe you have to come back coaching, maybe in the MLS. But keep up the great work, and it's glad to hear what a great, not just your perspective coming from Spain to the U.S. and the culture and the youth soccer and the differences and things like that. But it's also great to just hear about your passion for football, for soccer, and to hear how much you're helping so many kids out there. So we appreciate your time. Keep up the great work, and thanks again, Fernando.
No, thank you very much, and hopefully the listeners can get something from me. That was my objective. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Till next time.